Hello, my motor enthusiasts. Rev up your engines because we've got a thrilling episode of F1 Motor Fever podcast ahead.
Hello, Enzo. I heard something about Verstappen and his beloved RB19 car.
That's right, William. Verstappen recently expressed quite the sentiment when bidding farewell to his RB19, which played a significant role in his successful season.
Blimey, successful indeed. How many wins did he pull off again?
19 wins, 12 pole positions, 21 podium finishes, over 1,000 laps led, 6 hat-trick wins, and a whopping 575 points scored.
Astonishing. So he won't be driving the RB19 again?
Correct, William. Verstappen opened up about it in his recent interview, saying it hit him during his last few laps at the Abu Dhabi season finale.
And there's also talk of him joining an elite group of triple world champions.
Indeed, William. Verstappen's recent triumph at the Qatar Grand Prix has put him in the ranks of legendary figures like Jack Brabham, Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda, Nelson Piquet, and Ayrton Senna.
Well, this certainly whets the appetite for what's in store.
Hey everyone, you already know me, this is Enzo.
And at your service, this is William.
And we're here, same time every day on your favorite channel, F1 Motor Fever Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. It really does help us a lot. Now let's put the pedal to the metal. Now, speaking of Max Verstappen's connection with his RB19, it's really quite touching when you think about it. Saying goodbye to a car that brought him 19 wins out of 23 in a single year can't have been easy.
Indeed, it's not just a hunk of metal. It's something he's shared many moments with, created memories with.
Exactly. He did say it hit him during the last few laps of the Abu Dhabi season finale, realizing those were going to be his final moments in a car that had been very good to him.
And that's the thing, isn't it? These cars aren't just transport, they become a part of the driver. The cockpit is almost like a second home.
I couldn't agree more, and the RB19 certainly deserves some credit. Its performance alongside Verstappen was nothing short of incredible. They glided through the season like a well-oiled machine.
Quite literally. It's no wonder he felt emotional, standing on the podium with the national anthem playing, reminiscing about the season they've had together.
We do wonder though, will the 2024 car be as dominant? Only time will tell. Shall we dive into the next topic now?
Absolutely, full throttle ahead.
Now shifting gears a bit, we can't discuss Verstappen without acknowledging the other triple world champions in Formula One history. Verstappen joined this elite group with his recent triumph at the Qatar Grand Prix.
Indeed, a remarkable feat. And who are the other members of this prestigious club?
One notable name that comes to mind is Jack Brabham. Following in Juan Manuel Fangio's footsteps, Brabham became the next F1 driver to clinch 3 championships. His first 2 were with Cooper, thanks to their pioneering move to rear-engine machinery. But his third crown was particularly special. Brabham is the first and only driver to win the F1 championship in a car bearing their own name.
That's quite something. Did Brabham have any other significant achievements?
Well, in 1959, he became the first Australian to win an F1 race and the Drivers' Championship. He clinched the title in a dramatic finale at Sebring, pushing his fuel-less car to the finish line. He went on to secure 5 consecutive victories the following year.
Remarkable. Who else is in this exclusive 3-time champion club?
Another name that stands out is Jackie Stewart. After some initial success with BRM in the mid-1960s, his career really took off when he moved to Tyrrell's Matra International team. Stewart's dominant display in 1969 brought him 6 wins from 11 races and a substantial 26-point lead over Brabham's Jackie Ickx. After a challenging 1970 campaign, Stewart and Tyrrell bounced back, adding the 1971 and 1973 championship trophies to his collection.
Fascinating insights. It's always intriguing to see how the past informs the present in this sport. Do you think Verstappen's accomplishments will inspire future 3-time champions?
Well, as they say in F1, anything can happen. Continuing our journey through the annals of Formula One, let's mention another three-time world champion, Niki Lauda. After impressing the Ferrari chiefs with his bold performances, he secured his first championship in 1975. But the following year was marked by a horrific accident at the Nürburgring, yet he made a heroic return just 6 weeks later.
And if I recall correctly, he was only narrowly defeated for the title by James Hunt that year, wasn't he?
Indeed, but we're not here to discuss Hunt. Lauda retaliated in 1977, securing a second championship. However, his relations with Ferrari deteriorated, and he moved to Brabham. After a couple of seasons with limited success, he retired to pursue other interests, only to return to the sport a few years later, clinching a third title win in 1984.
And what about Nelson Piquet? He's another big name, isn't he?
Do you ever let me finish?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all right. Yes, you're correct. Nelson Piquet is another notable three-time world champion. He claimed his first championship at the end of the 1981 season, beating Carlos Reutemann by a single point. His second championship came 2 years later, where he once again emerged victorious by a tight margin.
And didn't he have some intense competition with his teammate Nigel Mansell when he switched to Williams?
Yes, you're correct. Well remembered. Piquet and Mansell had quite the fierce rivalry. But that's Formula One, isn't it? It's not just about the thrill of the race, it's also about the intense battles, both on and off the track.
Absolutely. It's this blend of competition and camaraderie that makes this sport so enthralling.
Moving on, let's talk about Ayrton Senna, another renowned three-time world champion. He first emerged as a contender for the championships in 1986 and 1987 with Lotus, but it was his move to McLaren that gave him his first real shot at championship glory.
Wait, I've heard a rumor that Senna was actually approached by Ferrari before he moved to McLaren. Is there any truth to that?
I'm afraid that's not accurate. It's essential to rely on authentic sources for such information, such as the official Formula One website or Bandeirantes, the official F1 broadcaster in Brazil. Returning to Senna, in 1988, he and Prost dominated the season, winning all but one of the 16 races. Despite the tension between them, Senna emerged victorious, clinching his first championship.
Oh, my apologies. I'll make sure to double-check my sources next time.
That's all right. It's an easy mistake to make. Senna won 2 more championships in 1990 and 1991, before a tragic accident at the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix ended his life far too soon.
Absolutely. Senna's legacy remains a significant part of Formula One history.
Just to take a side note here, much of the information we're discussing today can be found in an article on the WTF1 site, penned by Charlie Williams on the 22nd of December, 2023. Are you familiar with this site?
Indeed, it's a trustworthy source and well regarded by Formula One enthusiasts. However, as we mentioned earlier, it's always a good practice to cross-verify information from multiple reliable sources for complete accuracy.
Absolutely right. Now let's move on. Now let's shift gears and talk about Alberto Ascari, the sport's maiden double title winner and, to this day, the last Italian to lift the driver's trophy. In 1952, he won 6 out of the 7 championship races he contested and added another 5 victories the following season. His promising career was sadly cut short when he sustained fatal injuries during a test run at the Temple of Speed.
That's tragic indeed. Ascari certainly left a remarkable legacy in his short career.
Absolutely. Another driver of note is Jim Clark, who, like Ascari, was active in multiple motorsport categories alongside F1. Clark and Lotus formed a formidable partnership in the 1960s. Arguably, he could have won 5 titles between 1962 and 1967, if not for a series of reliability issues. However, he did secure 2 championships in 1963 and 1965, winning 13 of the 19 races he took part in across those 2 seasons.
Jim Clark's journey too met a tragic end, didn't it?
Yes, very tragic. Clark lost his life at the age of 32 in a Formula 2 accident at Hockenheim, after winning the first round of the 1968 F1 season. But let's also remember Graham Hill, who after his debut in F1 had to wait 5 years for his first championship win. Once he clinched it, he was a force to reckon with for a good part of a decade. His 4 wins in the 1962 season earned him his first title, and he followed that with runner-up spots in the next 3 years. For those just tuning in, we've been taking a trip down memory lane, talking about some of the great champions of Formula One. We discussed Alberto Ascari, Italy's last F1 champion, who dominated the 1952 and 53 seasons. We've also touched on the powerful partnership of Jim Clark and Lotus in the 1960s, and Graham Hill's impressive championship win after a 5-year wait. How do you feel about these incredible journeys?
Absolutely mesmerizing. The history of F1 is filled with such compelling stories of triumph, tragedy, and resilience.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's drive back to the main road and continue with our discussion. Continuing with our narrative, Graham Hill later joined Clark at Lotus, and following his teammate's death, claimed a third and final crown in 1968. However, Hill too met an untimely end, not on the track, but in a plane crash while flying back to the UK from a test session in France.
It's staggering how many of these champions faced such tragic endings. The risks they took in pursuit of their passion is remarkable.
True. Let's now talk about Emerson Fittipaldi, who also made his mark with Lotus. Following another mishap that involved Jochen Rindt, the posthumous 1970 world champion who was killed in a practice incident, Fittipaldi emerged as the team's lead driver. In 1972, Fittipaldi experienced a breakthrough year, becoming the sport's first title winner from Brazil and the youngest to do so at that time, at the tender age of 25.
Fittipaldi's rise to the top is certainly one of the most inspiring stories in F1.
Indeed. And after moving to McLaren, he became the British team's first F1 champion in 1974, although his subsequent stints with his brother's team didn't yield the same level of success. Now let's shift our attention to Mika Häkkinen. After his initial training at Lotus and recovering from a shocking crash in 1995, Häkkinen was in a prime position to capitalize when McLaren hit form in the late 90s. Mika won 4 of the opening 6 rounds in 1998, fending off a challenge from Michael Schumacher and Ferrari to land the title. Continuing from where we left off, Häkkinen won his second title in 1999, keeping Eddie Irvine at bay. He was in the race for a third consecutive title in 2000, but Schumacher managed to edge him out. The Finn then retired at the end of the 2001 season.
Just goes to show the close margins and intense competition in this sport. Every single point matters.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the last driver on our 2-time champions list, Fernando Alonso. Still racing in F1 to this day, Alonso made history with Renault nearly 20 years ago. After earning his first pole position and race win in 2003, and adding several more trophies to his cabinet the following year, Alonso witnessed a period of dominance during the mid-noughties.
That was indeed the golden period for Alonso, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. In 2005, Alonso and Renault managed to fend off Kimi Räikkönen and McLaren to clinch a maiden title. Then, in 2006, the Spaniard overcame the recovering Schumacher-Ferrari partnership. However, subsequent team changes and missed opportunities meant that Alonso has yet to secure that coveted third crown. William, what's the online chatter saying these days?
Let's see. NerdHerder12 posted a photo captioned, Charles Leclerc's new 812 Competizione Aperta.
Ooh, what a beauty that must be. What's the consensus in the comments?
Barbaric Fist notes, quote, can't wait to see him park this bad boy, unquote. To which Not So Xander replies, quote, gonna need 4 spots, unquote. Elder Skirt chimes in, saying, quote, if he doesn't run out gas, unquote.
Hey, now that's a riot. How about any other insightful input?
Indeed there is. Model Villager muses, quote, honestly, in Monaco, I just want a Fiat Panda, unquote. Indistinctive Man comes back with a quick, quote, okay James, unquote. To which RS Junior DK humorously retorts, good news, the Dacia Sandero can park in Monaco, unquote.
Very amusing. Any final thoughts?
Yes. One last comment from Chronic Presence who shares, quote, saw this outside of the Hotel de Paris earlier on a day trip to Monaco and thought it was just a display car or something. Didn't realize until a bit later that it was actually his lol, unquote. Plebbot69 responds, quote, I wish day trip to Monaco was a part of my vocabulary, unquote.
Ha ha ha, don't we all? Plebbot69, don't we all? Thanks for joining us on F1 Motor Fever podcast today. We've taken a journey through the careers of some of Formula One's two-time champions and had quite the chat along the way. Your company on this ride is much appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always in the loop. Sharing is caring, folks. So don't spare the share button. Spread the word about us on your social channels, in your group chats, and even over a cuppa with your mates. If you liked our show, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Hold on to your hats for our next episode. It's going to be a cracker. Remember, we're here every day, bringing you the hottest topics in the racing world.
Once again, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, remember, pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road. Our channel's content is pure gold.